There are animals that can be named by practically anyone in the world. The majority of popular animals are adored for their amazing abilities, their outstanding size, their huge personalities, or their exceptional beauty. But there are some truly strange-looking animals on Earth, many of whom have failed to gain much attention for simply not being cute enough. In today's video, I'm going to look at 10 animals that are really strange-looking. Of course, this is just my opinion, and I am by no means saying that you have to agree. Welcome to All.About.Nature. On my channel, I try to bring nature-related content that's entertaining and educational. If you like this kind of content, then please consider liking the video, leaving a comment, and even subscribing to the channel. I really appreciate your support. The proboscis monkey is an endangered species of monkey, and it's set apart from the rest because of one specific feature: its nose. Found only on the island of Borneo, this species sits in trees on river edges, eating mostly fruit and leaves. Proboscis is a term used to describe any long, flexible nose or nose-like feature on animals, such as on butterflies, true bugs, anteaters, or tapirs. While a proboscis can have a multitude of functions, depending on the species, in proboscis monkeys, it's used to attract a mate. It's believed that their noses create an echo chamber that magnifies the monkey's vocalizations, drawing in females and instilling fear in competing males. Speaking of proboscises, another animal with a strange nose is the Saiga antelope. Its large nose is thought to filter out dust from the air in the dry ecosystems that they inhabit. Dating back to the beginning of the last ice age, there used to be several different species of Saiga, from Great Britain, across Asia, and into North America. Today, there is one species, and they are limited to the Eurasian steppe. Forming large herds that are known for their vast north-south migrations, the numbers of this species fluctuate rapidly. Due to excessive horn exports, the species was hunted relentlessly at the end of the 19th and the beginning of the 20th centuries. By the 1920s, they were extirpated from much of their range, with only a few remaining in the Soviet Union and Kazakhstan. But they rebounded quickly, and the population increased to 2 million by the 1950s. As we came into the new millennia, the species declined rapidly again, with nearly 95% of the population dying off, leaving only about 21,000 animals alive in the early 2000s. They died in mass deaths, with up to 120,000 antelope dropping dead at one time, all due to an undetermined bacterial infection. They were listed as critically endangered, but by 2016, they began to rebound again. Today, there are an estimated 1.3 million Saiga antelope in the world. The aye-aye is, in my opinion, one of the ugliest species that exists. Being a lemur, this primate only inhabits the island of Madagascar off the east coast of Africa. They have shaggy black and gray fur, beady yellow eyes, rodent-like teeth, huge ears, and perhaps the creepiest looking hands in the animal kingdom, featuring an extra long middle finger. This finger is used to find food. It's skinnier than the rest of the fingers. It has a hooked claw on the end. Being nocturnal, the aye-aye needs to rely on more than just its eyes to find its food. It moves along trees and taps the wood with its long finger, listening for a hollow spot. When it finds one, it bites a hole into the tree, revealing a tunnel made by a beetle grub. Finally, it uses this long middle finger to fish out the grub for a meal. This foraging method is called percussive foraging, and the only other mammals in the world that use this method to eat are striped possums, which are marsupials from Australia and New Guinea. This long finger is used for more than just eating. Aye-ayes can actually insert it into their nose all the way down to their throat to to remove mucus. Pangolins are related to anteaters and can be found across Africa and Asia. There are 8 known species of pangolins, with the smallest measuring 30 centimeters in length and the largest measuring 1 meter. Pangolins are covered in protective keratin scales, giving them the appearance of a dinosaur. The scales are sharp and used for defense. When attacked, they curl up into a ball and cover their faces with their tails. They also produce a foul odor, similar to skunks. They have short legs with huge claws used for digging and climbing. And they have long tongues for eating ants and termites, which can be up to 40 centimeters long. Sadly, the scales of all 8 species of pangolin are believed by some in China and Vietnam to have medicinal purposes, and their meat is considered a delicacy. Up to 100,000 are illegally poached and trafficked annually, making them the most trafficked animals in the world. As a result, all 8 species are classified as threatened by the IUCN. There are very few conservation programs focused on these species, as few people even know that they exist. Only in Taiwan are conservation efforts having a real impact, and today the island supports the highest density of pangolins in the world. While tuataras may not look very strange, they are strange indeed. At first glance, you might assume that this is just a species of lizard, but you would be wrong. In fact, tuataras are living fossils, dating as far back as the Triassic period, 250 million years ago. They predate snakes by 100 million years, and lizards by at least 10 million years. They are the largest reptiles found in New Zealand and can reach in excess of 80 centimeters. So, why aren't they lizards? First, they are the only living animals with a true diaspid skull, meaning that they have 2 holes behind the eye. Second, they have 2 rows of teeth on the top jaw, 1 row on the bottom, and a set of beak-like teeth at the front. The lower teeth fit between the 2 top rows, allowing the tuataras to saw their food. And third, they have a third eye. It's especially noticeable in baby tuataras, with the eye becoming covered by scales after 4 to 6 months. While this third eye isn't exclusive to tuataras, it's certainly an extremely strange feature. It's believed the eye may play a part in the animal's absorption of UV rays, though no one is really sure. The potoos are comprised of 7 species of nocturnal birds found throughout Central and South America. They're insectivores and are related to nightjars and frogmouths. In ornithological literature, authors regularly remark on their strange appearance. During the day, they sit on exposed branches, contorting their bodies in order to blend in, which they do amazingly well. They have abnormally large heads, huge eyes, and their bills are almost entirely covered with feathers. Because of how huge their eyes are, opening them during the day would make them too conspicuous. So, they have slits in their eyelids that allow them to sense movement without exposing their hiding place. Their first line of defense is their camouflage. If that fails, they try to frighten predators away by opening their eyes and beaks really wide, giving them a look of having just been hit over the head with a frying pan. And if that doesn't work, they'll fly away as a final means of defense. Most of us know what a beetle is. Probably less of us are familiar with trilobites, long extinct marine arthropods that are well documented in the fossil record. But there is a beetle that most have never heard of that gets its names from these fossils, the trilobite beetle. Platerodrilus is a genus of beetles that contains a few dozen species. They're spread throughout South and Southeast Asia. While males look like fairly typical beetles, the females are truly unique. beetles have a larval stage, and in the case of the trilobite beetle, they are these rather strange-looking shielded creatures with tiny little heads at the front. Unlike most other beetles, however, the females never grow into an adult form, remaining in the larval stage forever. In fact, the males and the females look so different from each other, it wasn't until several years after the female beetles were described that a male was identified. The Tibetan fox is a strange-looking species of true fox. Found on the high plateaus of the Tibet Autonomous Region, Nepal, China, Bhutan, and the state of Sikkim in northeastern India, it looks a bit like a bad piece of taxidermy. With its large square head and almost cartoony eyes, the fox actually has a skull that is extremely specialized for carnivory. But it's not totally clear how their skulls developed like this. Some researchers believe that the unique shape helps with vision or camouflage, while others say that their square faces are a natural product of the windy environment on the plateau. Red-lipped batfish are found off the coasts of Peru and Ecuador, being especially known to be found around the Galapagos Islands. These bottom-dwelling fish are strange for several reasons. For one, they have bright red markings around their mouth, giving them the appearance of wearing lipstick. Second, they have a protruding horn-like structure called an elysium, which makes them look a bit like an underwater unicorn. This structure is used to attract prey, as it emits a bright light that draws in prey in the dark depths of the fish's habitat. But of course, the most obviously strange thing about the species is the odd shape of their fins. The pectoral, pelvic, and anal fins are all highly adapted, allowing the fish to essentially walk along the seafloor. They normally remain on the edges of coral reefs, though they are able to swim and can occasionally be found at the surface. Rain frogs are a genus of frogs that live throughout southern Africa. There are 20 known species, but they all have one thing in common: their strange appearance. With their downturned mouths, big eyes, and small heads that just seem to melt into their fat bodies, they rather look like a baby Jabba the Hutt. These frogs spend the majority of their lives hiding underground, emerging at the start of the rainy season to mate. When they mate, they produce an adhesive secretion from their skin in order to stick together, making mating easier. Because of their tiny legs, they are unable to jump, and instead they walk. And perhaps the best thing about rain frogs is their defense mechanism. They puff themselves up with air and make what might be the least intimidating sound I've ever heard. And that's it for today's video. Which one do you think is the strangest? And what animals do you think deserve a spot on this list? I already have another list of 10, so let me know if you want me to do a part 2. I want to thank my patrons, KASIA, LAEL, April, and COLBY. Thank you all so much for supporting my channel and helping make these videos possible. And if you want to see more content like this, consider supporting me on Patreon. Just follow the link in the video description below. Another way you can support my channel is by liking this video, commenting, and subscribing. If you have recently subscribed, welcome, and thanks for joining me as I give YouTube a try. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you next time.